There's something quietly shifting in your life right now, and you don't even fully see it yet. Not because you're unaware, but because the biggest changes rarely arrive with noise. They don't knock. They don't announce themselves. They just begin. And if you pay close attention tonight, you might feel it. A subtle difference in how you think, how you react, how certain things that once bothered you don't hit the same anymore. That's not random. That's change, already happening. Pause for a second. Think about the version of you from a year ago. Not the big milestones, not the highlight moments, just the quiet, ordinary version of you. The one who lay awake at night overthinking small conversations. The one who took things personally. The one who hesitated, doubted, replayed things over and over. Now compare that to you, right now. You've changed. Not perfectly. Not completely. But undeniably. And here's the strange part. Most of your growth didn't come from the moments you thought were important. It came from the invisible ones. Like that one night when you decided not to respond to a message that would have pulled you into unnecessary drama. Or that random afternoon when you chose silence instead of explaining yourself for the 100th time. Or that quiet moment where you realized you don't actually need everyone to understand you anymore. Those weren't dramatic decisions. But they were powerful. Because change doesn't always look like transformation. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like walking away. Sometimes it looks like doing nothing. And that's where most people get it wrong. They're waiting for a moment that feels big, obvious, life-altering. But your life is already shifting in small, consistent, almost invisible ways. Think of it like this. Imagine a room with dim lighting. Every day, someone slightly adjusts the brightness. Not enough for you to notice in the moment, but after a while, you look around and realize, everything is clearer now. That's what's happening to your mind. You're seeing things differently. You're reacting differently. You're choosing differently. And those small differences are quietly reshaping your entire life. Maybe you've noticed it in subtle ways. You don't argue as much as you used to. Or when someone misunderstands you, you don't feel the same urge to defend yourself immediately. Or maybe you've started valuing your time differently. Things that once felt urgent, now feel optional. Things that once felt important, now feel irrelevant. That's not you losing something. That's you refining something. And it's happening whether you consciously realize it or not. Let me give you a simple moment. You're sitting alone, maybe scrolling, maybe thinking, and suddenly you pause. Not because something external stopped you, but because internally, something shifted. You realize you're tired of certain patterns. Not dramatically. Not emotionally. Just quietly tired. That's one of the most powerful turning points a person can have. Because real change doesn't come from intense emotion. It comes from calm clarity. That quiet moment where you think, I just don't want this anymore. And from that point forward, everything begins to reorganize. Your decisions. Your boundaries. Your tolerance. Even your identity. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This change you're experiencing, it's not just about leaving things behind. It's about becoming someone who naturally no longer fits in the same spaces. You don't force yourself to change. You outgrow things. And that's a completely different process. Think about a pair of shoes you used to wear all the time. At some point, they just stopped fitting. Not because the shoes changed, but because you did. That's what's happening in your life right now. Certain conversations feel exhausting. Certain people feel distant. Certain habits feel unnecessary. Not because they're wrong, but because they're no longer aligned with who you're becoming. And that can feel confusing sometimes. Because on the outside, nothing looks drastically different. But on the inside, everything feels slightly off. Like you're in between versions of yourself. Not who you used to be, but not fully who you're becoming yet. That space, that in-between, is where most people get uncomfortable. They try to rush it. They try to define it. They try to force clarity. But this phase isn't meant to be rushed. It's meant to be experienced. Because this is where the real transformation happens. Not in the outcome, but in the process. In the quiet decisions. In the unnoticed shifts. In the moments where you choose differently, without even realizing it. Let's bring this into something practical. There are small signals your life is changing, and you might be overlooking them. 1. Your reactions are slower. Not because you're hesitant, but because you're thinking more clearly before responding. 2. You're less interested in proving your point. You'd rather have peace than win an argument. 3. You're becoming more selective with your energy. Not everyone gets access to you anymore. And 4. You're starting to trust yourself more. Even when you don't have all the answers. These aren't loud changes. But they're foundational. Because they shift how you experience everything. Let me give you a few real-life moments you might recognize. You're in a conversation where someone says something slightly disrespectful. The old version of you would react instantly. The new version notices it, pauses, and decides it's not worth the energy. Or you're about to overthink something late at night, and instead of spiraling, you just stop. You don't solve it. You don't analyze it. You just let it go. Or maybe you're scrolling through something that used to trigger comparison, and now it just feels neutral. Those moments might seem small. But they're not. They're evidence. Evidence that your internal world is stabilizing. And when your internal world stabilizes, your external life follows. But here's something important you need to understand. This process isn't linear. Some days, you'll feel like you've grown so much. Other days, you'll feel like you've gone backwards. That's normal. Because growth isn't about perfection. It's about direction. As long as you're moving, even slowly, even inconsistently, you're still evolving. And tonight, right now, you're further than you think. You've already made decisions your past self couldn't. You've already handled situations differently. You've already walked away from things that once held you back. That matters. Even if no one else sees it. Even if you don't always acknowledge it. So instead of asking yourself, why isn't my life changing? Start asking, where has it already changed, quietly? Because the truth is, your life is not waiting to change. It's already in motion. You're already becoming someone new. And the more you notice these subtle shifts, the more confident you'll feel in your direction. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need awareness. Awareness of what's already happening inside you. And trust that it's leading somewhere meaningful. So tonight, don't rush anything. Don't force clarity. Don't pressure yourself to have everything figured out. Just observe. Notice how you think. Notice what you tolerate. Notice what feels different. Because within those small observations is proof. Proof that your life is changing in ways you cannot fully see yet. And maybe that's the most powerful kind of change there is. The kind that happens quietly. The kind that builds naturally. The kind that doesn't need validation because it's real. And one day, you'll look back at this phase and realize. This was the moment everything started to shift. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But deeply. And permanently. So trust it. Stay with it. You're already on your way. For voice delivery, slow down in the opening 3 lines and let each sentence breathe. Add a slight pause after they just begin to create curiosity. Emphasize contrast words like but, instead, and quietly to guide emotional rhythm. Let the middle section feel conversational, almost like you're speaking to one person late at night. The ending should slow down again, softer tone, reflective energy. For visuals, begin with dim lighting, a single person in a quiet room, subtle camera movement. Transition into everyday micro-scenes like texting, walking alone, sitting in silence, looking out a window. Use natural light shifts to symbolize internal change. Avoid dramatic edits, keep it smooth and immersive. For variation ideas, one version can lean more on nighttime introspection and solitude, another can focus on social interactions and emotional boundaries, and a third can emphasize personal habits and daily routine shifts. Keep the core message but change the micro-scenes and analogies to maintain originality across uploads.